Yo, I want to talk about Magic the Gathering's latest card type and how it sucks. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm talking about battle cards. And where do we even start with these things, man? They are such a mess. I guess first off I should point out that I am not by any means a competitive player. I don't attend official tournaments, I don't play standard, and I certainly don't care about the meta. Now I'm one of those players that make up the majority of people that play Magic the Gathering. I believe head designer for Wizards of the Coast Mark Rosewater calls us kitchen table players. Me and my friends, we buy the cards that we like, and we play the cards that we own. So it's important to preface everything I'm about to say about battle cards with, hey, maybe they're really good in your format. Maybe battle cards are rockin' standard and need to be banned. When I say they suck, I don't mean competitively, but rather in design. And to show that, let's cover a couple of things. What are the previous card types? How do battle cards differ? How battle cards are a thematic failure? How battle cards are a mechanical failure? And then evidence for my theory that Wizards of the Coast knew they had a turd on their hands, but released the cards anyway. So I know you know this, but it's important to cover for my point, so very quickly, what are the existing card types? First up, land cards. You can play one of these each turn, and these are your basic resource in the game, allowing you to pay the cost of non-land cards. The more lands you have, the more non-land cards you can play. And that's actually kind of it really for the two kinds of cards there are in the game. Lands that are a resource, and non-lands that cost that resource to play. The non-land cards are called spells, and are broken into different types, depending on how they work, which I'm going to go over now. Creatures. Probably the most common spell card you'll see in an average deck. Creatures come into play and then permanently stick around until killed or removed. They can be used offensively to attack your opponent, defensively to block your opponent's attacking creatures, or they may have some unique utility effect, which means that you can just sort of leave them be to do their own thing. For instance, take this Mad Prophet. He has haste, you could attack with him as soon as you play him, or you could activate his utility ability instead, and then discard a card and draw a card, which can be more useful than attacking, especially if your hand is bad and you want to find those good cards in your deck. Next up, I've grouped these two together, Enchantments and Artifacts, and that's Artifacts with an I because we're an American game. Both of these come into play and then permanently stick around like creatures, but they only have the utility effect, they cannot be used to attack or block like creatures can. Enchantments and Artifacts are mechanically identical in how they play. Enchantments do tend to require a certain type of land to be played. For instance, this Triskaidekaphobia card needs swamps, and so can only really go into a black deck. Artifacts, like this Explosive Apparatus on the other hand, tend to be colourless and so can go into any deck. But you can get colourless enchantments and artifacts that need a certain colour, so there's not really any difference there. Now the only real difference between these cards is a thematic one. Enchantments feel more about magic, whereas artifacts feel more about science. They have been designed as different card types because the thematics of a card are just as important as the mechanics. I'll say that again to underline the point, the thematics of a card are just as important as the mechanics. Next up are another two I've grouped, instant and sorcery cards. Unlike other spell cards so far, instant and sorcery cards don't permanently stick around once you've played them. They get in, they do their utility effect and then they leave. Like Thunderbolt, quickly zapping out some damage, or Drag Under, pulling something into the depths below. The main difference between these two card types is that instants can be played on any turn, but sorceries can only be played on your turn. Why? Well, as a mechanical limitation, sorceries can be more powerful, so they want to limit when you can play them. But that's also reflected in the thematics of a sorcery. Sorceries are more complex, and so they take a little bit longer to cast. Maybe they involve some rare ingredients or a little ritual, which means they take more time, reflected in the fact that you can only play them on your turn. Lastly, sort of, Planeswalkers. These are permanent cards that are meant to feel like having another player sat at the table who's on your side. They have their own little loyalty counters on them to reflect the fact that they have their own life total, and your opponent can choose to attack them instead of attacking you, just as if you were in a 3-man multiplayer game. Planeswalkers tend to be pretty powerful, and they have a bunch of different effects, often printed on the same card, to make them thematically feel like they've brought their own deck with their own unique playstyle and mechanics. Now, is that all of the card types? No. Unlike Atraxa Grand Unifier, I haven't forgotten about Tribal. But it's not really important for the point I'm making here. What about all the card types that are combinations? Yeah, okay, also not really relevant, but fine. Quickfire round, you can get Artifacts that are creatures, creatures that are enchantments, enchantments that are lands, lands that are artifacts, instants that are sorceries, sorceries that are creatures, creatures that are instants. And yes, there are going to be more. Please feel free to tell me in the comments below all of the ones that I missed. Magic the Gathering is a very old game with a million mechanics, and basically any rule is going to have an exception to it. I just want to focus on the core card types and then compare them to battle cards. Speaking of, what are battle cards? Well, like the other permanent card types, when you play a battle they stick around. They also have counters on them to reflect their own little life total, just like Planeswalkers. One major difference from the other card types, however, is that when you play it you actually give it to an opponent to look after, and then they can defend it with their creatures as if it were their own. Once your opponent has the battle card on their side, you can choose to attack it instead of attacking your opponent directly, and if you manage to do that enough successfully, the battle card flips over, revealing itself to be a double-sided card. And on the back is your reward for successfully attacking it, usually in the form of a creature that you now get to add to your side and control as if you'd have played it from your hand. So where's the problem? Well, let's talk about thematical failure. Is thematical a word? I mean, I've been saying it. During a game of Magic the Gathering, you are playing as a powerful wizard known as a Planeswalker, casting spells and chewing bubblegum. And the other players are other Planeswalkers that you're dueling with to see who is the most powerful. Land cards represent your base of power, places you've visited and can draw power from, or maybe realms you've conquered and put to work in your name. Creatures are the friends or minions you can summon to aid you or do your bidding. Enchantments are powerful ongoing spells that surround the area to give you an edge in the fight. Artifacts are mighty weapons or unique objects that are tools for your use in combat. Instants and sorceries are spells that you fire off to strengthen your forces or weaken your opponent. And Planeswalkers are loyal companions, powerful in their own right, that have decided to lend you their aid. So where do battles fit in? Well, it's not immediately obvious from the name. The whole game is a battle after all, so my first step in understanding was to watch the Battle Mechanics Spotlight reveal video released on the official Magic the Gathering YouTube. Link in the description below. So we start the video, and at 22 seconds in, we're told, introducing battles, a brand new card type. Okay, so far so good. But then at 53 seconds, our narrator breaks it all down and explains, battles can be attacked. What? No they can't. What do you mean? We're already in a battle, I've summoned creatures to fight for me. I mean, okay, alright, let's carry on. The next line spoken is, but you're not playing battles to defend them, you want to take them out. I want to take what out? The battle itself? What do you mean? Do I not want the battle to happen? Why have I just paid my land cost to play that card then? Do I not want battles on the battlefield? I mean, I could achieve that result by just not having them in my deck in the first place. Battles on the battlefield? What am I talking about? This is word soup, and that's from me, and I've been saying thematical this entire time. A battle's protector can block creatures that are attacking that battle. What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you attack a battle? Surely more combatants would just increase the size of the battle, or do you mean that when you attack both sides, killing your own forces? Battles can be damaged. I mean, why attack battles if you can't damage them, right? What? I don't... This is nonsense. I don't... Battles can be defeated. But the concept of battles can be defeated, but not through like peace negotiations or a truce. You mean by like punching it in the face, as if a battle is a sentient being. I know that I'm doing a what are battle cards explanation video, but I can't explain this. This is gibberish. This is nothing. This entire game is a battle. What are we doing here? Okay, let's look at it from a different perspective. Battle cards do have the subtype siege written on them, so maybe they mean like battle cards represent siege equipment or frontline troops, which, yeah, okay, those things could be defeated, I suppose. I mean, we already have artifacts and creatures to represent those kind of things, but whatever. So I play the battle card. It has cost me my land resources to do so. So it's my siege equipment, but then I give it to you, my opponent, to look after and defend. So wait, hang on. So it's your siege equipment? And now I'm under siege. Why did I pay for that then? Okay, whatever. So now you have it, and I choose to attack it because I don't like it. Even though I paid for it, and I choose to have it in my deck, but I want it destroyed. And so to do that, I have to start attacking it instead of attacking you. So now I'm not attacking you. So that's good for you? I've paid to do you, my opponent, a favour. And you can choose to stop me attacking the battle by defending it, But you get nothing for your efforts to defend it, so why would you do that? To prevent me from getting a creature as a reward, I guess. But then you probably wouldn't have been able to prevent me from getting a creature if I'd have just paid my land cost and played a creature from my hand in the first place and done none of this battle stuff. We're getting lost in the weeds here, I think, maybe. Mechanically, I understand how the card works, but something is being lost here. Let's take a step back and look at the context in which the cards were released. There are 36 battle cards at the time of this recording, all of them with the subtype Siege. Every single battle card was released in the same set, March of the Machines, in which the Phyrexians, Magic's equivalent of Star Trek's Borg or Doctor Who's Cybermen, have decided to leave their home of New Phyrexia and invade every other plane of the multiverse. Each of the 36 battles represents a different plane being invaded, and that is kind of cool. In retaliation for this, New Phyrexia itself has been invaded, as shown in the card Invasion of New Phyrexia, in which we see depicted in both the art and the mechanics a bunch of Knights of Zhalfir showing up to kick some ass, and once some ass has been successfully kicked, the reward on the back that the battle card turns into for your efforts is Teferia Kosa of Zhalfir, a powerful planeswalker and all-around good lad. So I guess thematically when you play the card you're taking on the role of Zhalfir. You're saying that your opponent is New Phyrexia, and you are invading them. And then you have to attack your own invasion, which I guess represents their defense forces that you paid for. And once you've done that, the battle turns into a powerful ally who turns up in the form of Teferi. I mean, he probably could have turned up before you defeated the invasion that you started, but I guess he just wanted to be dramatically late. Messy, but at least consistent, right? Because you start out in the role of a Zhalfir invasion force, invade, and then your Zhalfir general turns up at the last minute to claim the glory once all is said and done. No, because that's the only fucking card that works that way. Each and every single one of the 35 other cards depicts the Phyrexians on the front, but the plane they are invading on the back as the reward. Invasion of Dominaria. On the front, a big old Phyrexian dragon burning the place up, but on the back, an angel talking about being around after the death of the Phyrexian leadership. Invasion of Zendikar, showing a Phyrexian portal opening and giant tendrils tearing into the land. The reward on the back, the land itself rising up in arms against the Phyrexians as an elemental. Invasion of Theros depicts the Phyrexian forces in a city, continuing to attack even as its defenders fall. The back reward shows Ephara, ever sheltering, god of the polis, standing stalwart alone after the death or corruption of the other gods. The flavor text reads, when the sun falters and the seas disperse, when the wilds wither and the forges go cold, when death itself succumbs, she endures. Oh, that's a good card. But who are we when we play it? Now there's an argument to be made that if you ignore the art and read what the cards mechanically do, they imply that you as the player are the one being invaded. Take the Invasion of Innistrad for instance, a plane of curses and undeath. When you play the card, one of your opponent's creatures gets -13/-13, a very thematically Innistrad thing to do. Which would make sense then, that the final reward is a bunch of zombies in Deluge of the Dead, also a very Innistrad thing to do. But if that's the case and you're Innistrad, why is the card that you would play framed as an invasion? Surely it would be called the Defensive Innistrad instead. If you, as Innistrad, play this, you've just used your own land resources to pay for your own invasion, and then you pick an opponent and say, hey, forget whatever your deck is about, you're now the Phyrexians and you're invading me, here's a card to defend. So which is it? Are we the Phyrexians launching an invasion when we play the card? If so, why is our final reward a creature that clearly hates Phyrexians? Or are we the plane being invaded? In which case, why the hell are we paying our land resources to do so, and then telling another player that they're the ones invading us? Thematic dissonance. Let's talk mechanical failure. I've basically already covered this, which, credit where it's due, the designers at Wizards of the Coast do an incredible job of tying a card's thematics and mechanics together, so it's hard to talk about one without the other. What I mostly want to talk about is what these cards are like to play with. Imagine a scenario. 4 friends in a room, sitting down to play a game. Friend number 1. Hey guys, I would like to play the Invasion of Eldraine. Ooh, what does that do? Well, that means that blue, you have to discard 2 cards. Oh. But purple, you're this battle's defender. Oh, I discard 2 cards as well? No, you just keep this card on your side, and like a planeswalker, you defend it and have to keep track of how many counters are on it. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, okay, I guess I can keep track of the counters on it for you. What do I get for defending it? Nothing. You just stop me from getting a creature, I guess. I mean, what is it, like 4 mana? You can just have the creature, my dude. No, you have to defend it. And blue, you and green can both help me out and try and attack it if you like. Why? Well, I don't know, you just can. She wants to know if she gets anything for attacking it? No, she doesn't. So why would she bother? This is very confusing. Can't you just play it as a creature? No, blue, I can't. I'm going to combat, and I'm going to attack the battle. Purple, do you block? Oh, how much damage do I take? None, I'm attacking the battle. Oh, well then why would I block? Because obviously this is a battle card, and just like a real battle, it can be attacked, so unless you protect the battle, I'll be able to defeat it. What? I don't know. So, in conclusion, battle cards suck. The thematics of a card are just as important as the mechanics. They're not fun to think about, and they're not fun to play with. But here's my theory. Like I said at the start of the video, I believe Wizards knew they had a turd on their hands when they released them. I guess with the increased amount of products that have been pumping out lately, they didn't have time to refine these cards before they got announced and then released. But they did have an opportunity to apply a band-aid, something that would allow them to keep up with their release schedule for these battle cards, put out some stinkers this time, but give themselves an opportunity to do it differently next time. Buy themselves a bit of breathing room, and that band-aid was this: the subtype. See, of all 36 battle cards, 100% of them have a subtype, and that subtype is Siege. Now, if 100% of a thing that you've made all have the same subtype, what is the point of that subtype? If you want to separate your socks into two different drawers for cotton and non-cotton socks, but 100% of the socks that you own are cotton, you probably don't need the second drawer. So why add the subtype at all then? Well, my theory? To remove it, so that the next time they print battle cards, they can do them differently. And the only reason they would do that is because they knew that these cards suck. They knew it, and adding the subtype would give them an out. So here's the fun part. This is where you and I can play a game of I Told You So. What I want you to do is remember this video, and that's you and I, let's wait and see, because I would bet you the moon base where I live that the next time they print battle cards, they're either sieges and have exactly all the same problems, or everything I've criticised here has been fixed, but the siege subtype has been removed. What do you think? Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you very much to my sponsor, me. Check out my Patreon linked in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, install an ad block, and most importantly, subscribe, and please share this video with a friend. If you want to be notified when my next video goes live, hit the notification bell, and do all those things that the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, let me know. Aside from that, I will see you next time.